French President Emmanuel Macron is at risk of losing his outright majority after a strong challenge from a coalition of left-wing parties in National Assembly elections. Jean-Luc Melenchon's left-green alliance has finished neck-on-neck with Macron's ensemble in terms of votes cast in Sunday's first round. The president faces a battle in next week's second round to win 289 seats and keep his majority. Centrist Emmanuel Macron won a second term in April, but without a majority in the Assembly, he will struggle to push through reforms. He intends to raise gradually the retirement age from 62 to 65, while Melenchon vows to lower it to 60. The ensemble won the 25.75% of the vote. The outcome leaves them marginally ahead of the left's 25.66%. All right, to speak a little bit more about this, we're joined by French political commentator HAMID CHRIET. He speaks to us from London in the UK. HAMID, a very good evening to you. Thanks once again for joining us. So from what you're hearing, what is the latest? It seems that the French president will push through with his ensemble, but just how rocky is it looking for him?
Well, nothing is sure for him. I think maybe he will not have the majority in the French parliament. More than 500 districts of the, parliamentary from the leftist have been elected in the second round. So we will see the result in the next, days. And Emmanuel Macron now, is threatened to have the majority in the French parliament. He is a candidate who wants to increase the, age of retirement to 60 to 65. He as well doesn't want to, increase the minimum salary to 1,500, which is Jean-Luc Melenchon wants to increase the minimum, salary to 2,130 to 100,000, to 500. So I believe that these all factors can change and can change the political map in the French parliament. People are fed up with the crisis. Do not forget that we had the yellow vest movement in France, with has taken a lot of controversy with the police brutality and racism and Islamophobia. We have as well poverty. The poverty increased more than 2% of people. We have 60 million people which are under poverty. So I believe these all factors can change the political map in the French parliament. And now Emmanuel Macron is threatened with the leftist, and I believe that his majority now has to go underground in order to persuade, to convince, and to argument, and to give the ready program in order to argument with French people, trying to persuade them for the vote. But I would like also to underline a very important point, which is the abstentionist. The abstention is the first political party in France. In 1965, there were 38% of abstentionists. Now, in 2022, we have more than 51%. Exactly the numbers, the figures is 52%. So we've seen now the difference, how now people, do not trust, do not believe in politics. Nothing has changed for them. So I believe the most, important point and a challenge is to persuade the French people to vote and to believe in democracy.
I mean, this apathy that you speak of, not only from the electorate, but within a parliament, how much does it impact, as we mentioned in the beginning, the ability of the French president and his cohort to implement the mandate, and how much is it reflective of whether the French are behind it? I mean, we spoke about the retirement age, but there's also the fact that Melenchon is looking to raise taxes on financial transactions. I mean, I just want to get a sense of what it says about what is before the electorate.
Well, they have two different programs. Jean-Luc Melenchon is the candidate who wants to planify the climate change, the planification of ecology. Jean-Luc Melenchon is the candidate who wants to, decrease the retirement to, to 60. Which is 62 today. So Jean-Luc Melenchon is the candidate who wants to increase the minimum salary to 1,300 to 1,500. So due to the inflation with the Russian invasion in Ukraine. So I believe the difference is that Emmanuel Macron does not have any, accurate program. Nobody know his program. So he's the candidate who wants to increase the retirement, the age of the retirement to 60 to 65. He wants as well to cut off the budget, 80 trillion, due to the, to the European Parliament. Due to the deficit, we have the deficit of 60%. He wants to reduce it to 3%. How is going to reduce this deficit? 3% of inflation. So we had in France, and I believe this 3%. How is going to reduce it is by cutting off the budget, cutting off this deficit. There were notes of the European Parliament, which is clearly saying that Emmanuel Macron has to, reduce this deficit, and the 80 trillion millions is the budget of the National Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Interior, the Interior of Ministry. So I believe this will be a very tough. Exercise type for the French president, and then also can lead to a huge protest in the street. We have a lot of poverty in France. The social reform were not implemented by this French president. The workers in the hospital, we had a huge strike due to the condition of the workers in the hospital. So I believe that Emmanuel Macron now is very, in the less position.
But how is that going to, impact on the fundamental issues? As you say, it almost seems like a battle of the haves and have-nots. And if the Melenchon group retains, or the Noops or the Noopers then have that much influence, what are they going to be able to do in Parliament? Is it going to come to a point where they force referendums to debate bills, amendments, proposals that therefore then lengthens the time it takes to fix some of these issues, socio-economic issues?
Well, if the NUPS, which is the coalition with the Communist Party, the Ecology Party, the Socialist Party, and the Insoumis, not submit. So I believe if they have the majority in the French Parliament, Jean-Luc Melenchon will be the Prime Minister, and he can conduct new policies. He, as the French Constitution said, that he can decide for the foreign policies and the interior policies. So he can, of course, increase his, his ability in order to change and to reform the constitution, and to give more power to the people by making a local referendum, regional referendum, and national referendum, by stopping this inflation, by stopping the prices, as he said in his program. So I believe he can, of course, will be able, and he can manage to implement his own policies due to his majority in this scenario.
All right.
I believe.
So, second round of voting taking place on the 19th of June. How do you foresee that panning out? I mean, some say we could possibly see a resurgence of support for Macron, or a greater dwindling of numbers at the polls. What do you predict? And if there is a decline in support for him, would he then be forced to reshuffle his cabinet?
Well, I believe that there is a lot of possibility. There is a huge possibility for Jean-Luc Melenchon, the leftist candidate, to win and to have the majority. But I believe as well Emmanuel Macron can win. But it will be very tough for Emmanuel Macron to decide as he did before, due to his less majority than he will have. So he will not have a lot of possibility, and he will not have, maneuver his policies and decide. So he has to compose with others, such as the leftists or the far right wings. So I believe that for both candidates it will be very tough, to govern the country.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us, French political commentator HAMID CHRIET, speaking to us from London in the UK.